youtube.com/MayhewMayhem. That's youtube.com/MayhewMayhem.
Hello and welcome to another episode of 30 Minutes of Mayhem. I am your host, my name is Michael Mayhew, and I am here with my co-hosts.
Nick from youtube.com/TicTacMan, and joining us is the man who loves Kill Bill so much, he tried to kill himself by committing autoerotic asphyxiation. Unfortunately, the bar in his closet gave out.
What's up, everybody? It's me, Greg.
And also joining us is our not-so-special intern, Emmanuel.
Hey, everybody.
And as I said, welcome to 30 Minutes of Mayhem, the podcast your mother can be ashamed of. And tell me, Greg, why is it the podcast your mother can be ashamed of?
Probably because of the non-stop packages of old used porn that I've been getting over the last couple of days.
I was hoping he would say that.
That is exactly correct. Now, speaking of the packages you've been receiving, what you're referring to, and I was going to talk about this, so I'm glad you bring it up. Before we go to this commercial break, let's talk about it. So back in episode 82, Greg said, I have never had the magazine experience. So I said, if you have magazines that you would like to send to Greg, to email the show, and I will give you the P.O. box. Well, unbelievably, listeners emailed the show. I was fucking shocked. Gave them the P.O. box. They sent it to me. I repackaged it because the reason why I did that is I just didn't want to give out Greg's actual address. Like, I have it. We're friends. It's no big deal. I just didn't want to give it out to strangers and like have somebody like show up at his actual house and do some weird shit.
Throw some ricin in his face or something.
Right. I didn't want somebody to like try to kill Greg to impress the president or something. Like, I just didn't want that to happen. So that's why I did the P.O. Box thing, and then I repackaged it, sent it to Greg. This is episode 89. This was on 82. We're a little backlogged, if you haven't guessed that by this point. Some of the episodes early in this run are a little bit older, a couple years older, because of one reason or another. But anyways, walk us through it. Walk the listener through it. Walk us through it. So you receive the very first one. So take it from there. How was that experience? Let's talk about that experience when you received the very first pornography magazine, your very first adult magazine ever in your entire life. Talk us through that. How was the experience for you? You said you've never had the magazine experience, and now you're having it. It arrives at your house. How does that go? Are you the one that checks the mail? Does your dad check the mail? Does your mom check the mail? Do you not know who checked the mail? Just a package arrived for you? Just walk us through it step by step. How did it go?
Motherfucker, I got a fucking issue of Playgirl from 1996 that had fucking naked pictures of Bill Clinton and Al Gore in it. Needless to say, I did not use that at all.
I did. I borrowed it.
So your very first ever adult magazine is a Playgirl from 1996 that has Bill Clinton and Al Gore photoshopped onto the front of it.
Yep.
Did you read the articles at all?
Fuck no. The second I saw that, I was like, yeah, okay, this is definitely something Mike did. The second thing I thought was, I'm not even going to touch this. Like, I don't even know where this shit has been. Like, I mean, I opened it and I saw what was inside it, but I didn't even touch it. Like, I was just like, I didn't even want to touch this. I don't, like, even want to acknowledge it exists. The feelings that I felt after seeing that image, like, I mean, I could say disgusted, but I mean that word is just not strong enough to describe how I felt.
He
like,
really wishes a Republican would have won that year.
Like, I literally felt like my penis was gonna just jump off of my body and like just run away, like because of like how horrific the image is. The image on the cover was.
I thought he was going to say off of his body and onto the page so that he could have the true magazine experience like Nick talked about when he was a child. That's what I literally thought he was going to say, and that would have been hilarious. But now, with that being said, do you remember what month it is? Do you still have it? Did you frame it or anything?
I'd frame that motherfucker.
You know what?
Do you still have it? Could you pull it up and describe it in vivid detail to us?
God damn it. Okay, let me get up off of my bed. Ow, damn it. Ah, shit. Fucking.
He broke his erection. He just walked up and he turned into a wall and he's like, god damn it, I broke it. My dick. It's like that scene from The New Guy. If anyone remembers that movie, please don't. But the old lady just grabs his erection and just 90 degrees it.
Okay, let's see here. Oh no, I'm wrong. No, it says April of 1994. Okay. It says the body's politic, public figures' private parts, and then there's like a picture of like two guys with Bill Clinton and Al Gore's faces like airbrushed on, and they're holding like American flags over their crotches. There's a tagline that says "Penis power, our most well hung hunks ever."
So after that point, you started to receive more packages, you said. How many would you estimate at this point that you have received? Anything else fucked up?
Yeah, the second package I got. Everything else was normal, but the second package I got was full of porno mags of old ladies.
You're welcome.
Of course it was you, Nick. I should have known it was you.
Private collection. I figured it was time to pass it on.
Fucking figures it was you. I was gonna say, man, that's just some fucked up shit. I just saw the top of like one of the magazines when I opened it, and I was just like, fucking shit.
What can I say? My grandmother meant a lot to me.
Oh god. Oh my god.
Look at me, Ma. I did it. I made them laugh.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
So how many?
I would say in total, all the packages, including the two that I got from you and Nick, I would say about 6. And on average, aside from yours, which you just had 1, the others had about usually 4 or 5 magazines in each of them. So I would say probably 26 or 21. I forgot about the one you sent. My magazines in total.
So with all that being said, you got about 20 or so magazines. Has there been any magazines that you've actually enjoyed?
Some of them were pretty good. Some of them kind of dated because some of them were looked like they were from the 80s.
Hey, one man's collection. It can range. It can
No,
range.
I mean,
good Spanish stuff.
Some of the ones from the 80s were really nice. But I just like I said, some of them were good, some of them not so good. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, that's how it is with porn, you know. I mean, some of it's going to be good, some of it's not going to be so good. Some of it's just I can't fap to this, but others it's just oh, I like this stuff. But I did not rub my penis on it like Nick did. So
that's how you can tell the real quality of the print paper. If it's really good print stock, you'll know. Oh, you'll know. And that's why I had to leave photo school. And do something else.
So I didn't want paper cuts on my balls. So I mean,
they're just hey, you know what? If it's digital, you can't rub your dick on it. So I was just fair enough.
The question that everyone has got to want to know is, what are you doing with them? Not are you jerking off to them? I mean, that question as well. But what are you doing with these 20 magazines? Where is it that you're hiding them?
Did you take out a safety deposit box or something?
No, my closet. My closet is such a mess that I could literally hide probably a corpse in there and until I have to bury it and nobody would find it, or just hide a bunch of cocaine or something in there and nobody would be able to find it except me. So I mean, it's pretty.
So
pretty well
would you say you'd use that corpse for the same masturbatory reasons?
No, because I'm not you, Nick.
I feel as though once you factor in the fleshlight and all these old magazines, that his closet probably smells the same as it would if there was just a corpse in there.
God. And they take a lot of time to upkeep.
Oh my god.
If you were talking directly to the listeners, what do you want to say?
Thank you for your contributions to help giving me the magazine experience. It was very much appreciated, except for you, Nick. You could go fuck yourself.
I will, with pleasure. to the remainder of that collection.
Shit, I should have known. You wouldn't have taken that the right way.
Even more.
So notice that he didn't exclude the one that I sent him that had dicks in it. Greg begged for mercy. That's the light way to put it.
And his gods did not hear his cry.
That I would quit forwarding these magazines to him. He seemed pretty ungrateful to me personally. For the listeners, he seemed to be incredibly ungrateful. So I asked him if what he wanted me to do with these listeners sending these magazines to this PO box, and he said just quit accepting them for Christ's sake. Something to the extent of that. I don't remember word for word what it was.
So for everyone you donate, we are putting in the box for Toys for Tots.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that's how this one can work, Nick.
From the point in which this episode airs forward, I would just let you know that we will be no longer accepting donations of old porn magazines for Greg. Greg, would you like to explain why?
Well, I felt like I had gotten enough in order to truly get the experience that you guys were looking for me to experience. Both you guys, as in, the rest of my castmates here, but also you guys, the listeners. So I felt like I had gotten quite enough. Like I said, I got about 20, 25, 21, 26 magazines. So, that's enough. Plus, I really just... I kept getting all these packages, and I unfortunately still live with my parents, and I didn't want them to begin asking questions and stuff. So I was like, can we cut it out? I kind of have enough fat material now.
Might I interject too? With what's remaining, I suggest you mail them to Toys for Tots at 960 Street, PA 103.
I'm gonna cut that out. With that being said, Greg doesn't want your shit anymore, basically, is what he's saying, and he's going to receive the rest of what I have already received and or am waiting to receive. And then after that point, I'm not gonna mail any more to Greg. So if you want to send your old porno to Greg, like VHS tapes and so on and so forth, email us 30minutesofmayhem@gmail.com. I'm just kidding. Don't. You could still email us. If you send us some old VHS tapes, I'm probably going to send them to Greg. So, no, but we will no longer be accepting submissions because Greg can't handle the truth. I did get emails and stuff from all over the United States. That was cool. I will say that much. And, Greg, I don't know if you paid attention to any of the addresses or not.
They were from all over the United States. I will say that. Like, there was some, one from Chicago, and... there were like a few from different places in the country. So I did think that was cool, because it's like, wow, we really do have listeners all across the country. That's pretty awesome.
So we'll move on from that. Speaking of emails, we received one not that long ago that referring to episode 82, which is the one in which we announced to email if you wanted to send Greg some porno magazine. Anyway, so if you do want to email us to ask us a question or what have you, say something about the show, be like, Greg, you fucking puss, not accepting any more magazines. Whatever it is you want to say, you can email us 30minutesofmayhem@gmail.com. You can tweet at us on Twitter, 30MINS of Mayhem on Twitter. You can message us on Facebook, 30 Minutes of Mayhem on Facebook. On Instagram as well at 30 Minutes of Mayhem. Any way you need to or want to get into contact with us, you could do that. And I will be reading this email right after this quick commercial break.
Have you guys ever had, a wild night of drinking and you just wake up naked on the floor of some stranger's house?
No, can't say that I have.
Me neither, no.
Wow, I really feel like you guys are judging me.
Well, that's because that's what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Fuck you. I was going to promote the new 30 Minutes of Mayhem shirts and how warm and comforting they are, but you guys, your hearts are fucking cold as ice. I take no solace in these shirts. I don't even want them anymore. You can have the free one back.
Do you even know what that word means?
Fuck you.
Our hearts may be cold, but these shirts are as hot as that Slam Squad mixtape.
So, go pick one up at MayhewMayhem.spreadshirt.com.
So here's the email. Side note here, referring to episode 82. Listening to the latest podcast episode. You boys have come a long way. Well done. I'd like to share a weird porn-related story with you all. Once upon a time, I was really involved with the spayed and neutered services for neighborhood cats. We would reach out to people taking care of cat colonies and help them to take care of the pets at no cost. I would show up at the traps at night and hang around until the traps were set, and come back the next morning to pick them up. Lots of caretakers would offer us things in return to show their gratitude. As a rule, I did not accept anything they offered outside of the occasional cookie or muffin. This one guy was extremely grateful that I was helping his kitties. It was maybe the third round of trapping when he answered the door with a giant smile and said, "I have something special for you tonight." He presented me with a giant cardboard box. Opening the box, my eyes were assaulted by this man's entire porn stash. VCR tapes, DVDs, and magazines. The collection spanned 4 decades worth of porn. On one hand, I was flattered. A man's porn stash is one of his prized possessions. He was obviously offering me something that was important to him. On the other hand, I know what he's been doing with his stash when he would have handled the contents of that cardboard treasure chest. I declined his gift as politely as possible, but could see that he was disappointed with my choice. My question is, would you accept a stranger's porn stash and keep it as your own? Did I do the right thing? So let's take it from there. Let's answer his question. So, well, Greg, they just showed up at your house. But the question is, would you accept a stranger's porn stash and keep it as your own? And did he do the right thing by turning down the gentleman's porn stash?
I mean, it's like for depending on the generation of the man, that's pretty much like the gold mine. That's like, hey, this is actually important to me. You know, it's like a firstborn child. He's just offering it up to you like, circle of life. You know, just like, you know, a virgin into an active volcano.
Right. So, like, Greg, what do you think here? Because this wasn't a situation in where, like, somebody was standing there in front of you offering you this giant box or giant cardboard treasure chest, as he put it. Greg, so it's not like with your situation, it's not as though the gentleman was standing there or anyone was standing there in front of you with this cardboard treasure chest of porno trying to give it to you. These were arriving at your house. So your situation is you're a little bit different. How do you handle it? What actually has happened to you, and if you're in that situation?
Well,
like, when you receive the packages, do you like scoop them up real quick and run upstairs and hide them underneath the mattress?
pretty much.
No one has began asking questions yet?
He's got so many now, he just uses them as a box spring for his mattress.
I could picture it really well too. That's the funny thing.
No, not really. I mean, the first one I just explained was a gag gift you get from you guys. The second one, I didn't really say what it was. The other ones, though, I managed to grab and get up to my room without, anybody seeing them. So, I was able to do that. I tried to keep them hidden, like you do with a porn stash.
This motherfucker's like waiting at the door, like, if my mom finds out, I'm gonna have to say a Hail Mary for each fucking one she finds.
Pretty much, yeah.
So then how do you handle the question here? Somebody in person is trying to give you their porn stash too.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if it's like a large variety of it, and he's offering it to you for free. I mean, fuck, I'm not gonna turn it down. I mean, even if there are a lot of VHS tapes on there, it's like I don't have a VHS player. It's like, I mean, if there's still plenty of other stuff I can use in there, then fuck it, I'll take it. On the other hand, though, it's just like they said, like, what he was doing with it, but at the same time, I mean, as long as he wasn't, shooting ropes right on the magazines and stuff like that, I don't really see a problem with taking them from him. Yeah, I would probably take it, to be honest. I would have taken it.
I would say probably like kind of depends on like how well you know the guy. Is he like really creepy and like giggling every like few seconds as he's giving you this porno stash, or is he just like really chill, like almost like an uncle you never had, and he's just like, I want you to have these because my stick don't work no more. And
these are family heirlooms. These passed down from your granddad to your dad before he died in Vietnam, and now they're mine. And his hand's just shaking the whole time because of his fucking Parkinson's. And he, and he's, so he's sitting there and he's like, I want you to have these. And you're like, yeah, I don't know about this. And he's like, God damn it, your granddaddy and your daddy and myself all jerked off to these magazines. It's a goddamn family heirloom. You don't want to be part of this goddamn family. He calls you the F word for gays too, but like you're like, God damn. Anyway, go on. 4th generation.
I'd maybe accept them, but I guarantee you, I'd want to look at them like that's what gifts are for and shit.
Right,
If it was a kind gesture and the dude wasn't a creep, I think I probably would just cause. And then I'd keep them in a basement, forget about them, and then my son would stumble upon them years later.
And then you'd be like, you want to be part of this family? You'll be the 5th generation.
Walk in on him like jerking off to some like hot Latina chick. And I'm just gonna be like, I'm very proud of you, son. Very proud of you.
Don't you fucking stop.
Don't you stop.
fuck-
Don't you fucking stop. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's too much. God.
So Greg, going back to
You
you,
throw load just like my uncle.
how would you feel about being like the 4th generation of somebody's family to beat those shit to this magazine? You got like 25 magazines right now?
Man, yeah, I would be honored. It's like, wow, you guys really want me to carry on the legacy, huh? That's wow, thank you. I'm honored.
It's just generations of dried semen on this poor girl's face. And now it is your turn to paint it with yours.
10 generations down the line, it's like it's in the MoMA. Oh my god.
Is this not what the listeners who are sending this stuff in, is that not what they're asking of you, Greg? Do you want to be part of our family?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's great. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's just like, this is actually kind of cool.
What about the hand that you sit on and make numb?
I don't do that. I have never done that before.
I don't get the stranger.
Greg, I'm gonna pretend I'm a listener here. Quit giving a political answer. I feel like you're giving a political answer right now, and I feel like that's what they're gonna call you on. You're like, I have the best of fans. Who I'm not gonna do that.
No. I think it's awesome. You know, I think it's great that they feel like, you know, they wanted to share their experiences with me, and that's kind of that makes me feel like, you know, like I'm honored. Like, you guys are like, you need to have the magazine experience, bro. So it's just like, this dude's never had the magazine experience, so you send them to me. So I mean, I do have to say, like, the listeners who have sent them to me, like, thank you. That was really cool of you. I'm really, and it also makes me realize, wow, we actually do have listeners outside of the Ohio Valley area, which, you know, also makes me really happy, because I mean, you know, Mike and I have been working on this show for several years now, so it's nice to know that we've really expanded, and that makes me happy to know that, you know, our work's paid off.
Fair enough. Emmanuel, back to you. Did he do the right thing by turning it down? You're saying that you would have taken it. So did he do the right thing by turning it down? What would have you done? You, Emmanuel, you're saying you would have taken it. Greg, you're saying that you would have taken it. And Nick?
Well, may I add the caveat that it really depends on this person's character.
So if he's trying to give you, like, NyQuil, then you're not going to take it. But, like...
Yeah.
Do you need an aspirin with that wine?
To, like, you know, that I spend the night at his house and shit, like, maybe I won't accept those mags. But like I said, if it's like an uncle type figure, then yeah,
I would take them.
I think I would have taken them just out of avoiding the awkwardness from not accepting them.
It's a very special gift.
Yeah.
That was like, whenever the listener called it a treasure chest, that's exactly what it is. He was handing him off his treasure.
Yeah, so I think I would have definitely taken it. Not only that, to avoid the awkwardness. Here's my thing: is like, you don't just take it and then just like turn around and dump that shit somewhere. You have to pass it on. Like, it has this weird sentimental type of value, and the same thing goes with the stuff that Greg has. Like, Greg has this 1994 Playgirl issue with Bill Clinton on the cover. What the fuck happens, Greg, if for some reason one day that's worth $10,000 and
I would sell that shit,
right? But let's say you're like, oh, this fucking stupid shit, and you throw it away because you're like, I don't want a magazine full of dicks, and like that be the only one that my parents find, and they're like, we knew he was gay. Nick, I'll go ahead and let you take an impression of his parents from here. Okay.
We always knew it'd be you, Greg. We always knew it'd be you.
What,
we have photographic evidence that Scott kissed a girl, so we knew it was going to be.
Do you want to do?
But did he like it?
You want to do a quick? Let's do a real quick improv here, real quick too. This will be Greg's parents find 1994 Bill Clinton Playboy in Greg's room. And only that, none of the rest of them that are completely straight porn. Nick, will you play the part of Greg's dad? And Emmanuel, will you play the part of Greg's mother? And action.
What is this? I can't believe this. Our son, a fucking Democrat.
I was laughing, but with a sad face there.
We live in the wealthy part of this neighborhood. I will not stand for this.
The gunshots are over there, son. You're welcome to join.
Now, Greg, what's your mother's name?
Jane. God,
Now,
okay. Jane.
Take this
hang
and go
on.
into the bedroom and
We're
warm
gonna
up
have to
and wait
cut
for
that
me.
out.
Yeah, let's not include Greg's mom's actual name in there. Greg, you should have just said something else.
Well, I figured you were probably
out.
going to cut it out anyway.
So, okay.
What's your mother's name again? Oh, it's Lao Mein.
It's Jane. Every time somebody says it, it's just the same cut of me saying Jane. Anyway, I feel like that was horrible prov, but it works out. All hand rounds. No. Okay, only clapping for me. Okay, there we go. So I think the consensus here is that you should have just taken the treasure chest, the cardboard treasure chest of porn. I say to avoid the awkwardness. The other gentlemen here have said it for various reasons. I feel like that might be a factor into it. But what I was getting at is what happens if that magazine is worth $10,000 one day, Greg, and you threw it out. So you said you have magazines from the 70s or 80s or something. Are they in that poor of condition? Not really, right? So they're all in relatively good condition, right?
Yeah, they are. They're in like really good condition, surprisingly.
It's you don't just throw those magazines. If this guy gives you this box of magazines, you don't just throw them out. You pass them along, right? It's not about being like the fourth. Well, it's more about being the fourth, fifth, sixth generation to receive these magazines. So I feel like that just throwing this out here, just an idea. If Greg, what do you want to do with these magazines? I was going to suggest that you could send these magazines out to listeners that want the magazines that you've had.
I mean, I never really thought about it. I don't know.
The question is, are you actually willing to pay money to send these magazines? Because if you say you're willing to send the magazines and people email saying they want the magazines, and I'm like, all right, Greg's going to send you the magazine, then you don't, that's fucked. So.
Yeah, no, I don't feel like paying to have them sent out. Plus, like you said, I mean, maybe I'll hang on to them, just in case they go up in value. Cash in on it and make some money.
All right. Well, hopefully that is something that happens. But anything else that anyone would like to add to the email from a listener?
I would say you're still on the right, erring on the side of caution when it comes to something like porno mags.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
it's not that you were wrong, because I don't feel like you're wrong, because I could understand being like, oh God, no, I know what you did there.
It's a stranger too, right?
Yeah, well, it was a person that pretty much a stranger. Yeah, it was a person that he was doing essentially volunteer work for. He said it was about the third or so time. So it's not like they were complete strangers, but they were strangers. So yeah, I'm not gonna say you did the wrong thing. I don't feel like you did the wrong thing. I can completely understand it because you know what that was for. But I would have taken it and I would have passed it along to somebody else, whether it was Greg or whatever. Speaking of passing it along to Greg, as I just said, and as I said earlier in this episode, there is still time to enter for our contest of who wants to punch Greg's V-card. You don't necessarily have to punch his V-card. You don't have to necessarily hug his cock with your vagina. You could simply give him a hand job, a blow job, or, flick the backside of the tip of his dick repeatedly until he comes, or fondle his balls, or step on his balls if you're Dr. Pato. But none of that even has to happen. In all seriousness, if you want to come be a part of the show, and if you do win, you will at least get the opportunity to go out on a date with Greg. And even if that doesn't suffice, we could always work something out. Maybe you can just get a nice gift card. We are still taking applications, so get them in today. Email us 30minutesofmayhem@gmail.com. The last thing on this, everyone's got to want to know. Greg, did you beat your meat to any of these magazines?
Yes.
That does it for another episode of 30 Minutes of Mayhem. I have been your host. My name is Michael Mayhew, and I have been here with my co-hosts,
Nick.
And Greg.
Make sure to check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, all those different locations, and donate to us on PayPal using 30minutesofmayhem@gmail.com. That's it. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. And later, fellas.